everyone. Welcome to the Creative Talk with me, Jan Santos. And today we have another special guest. I am actually excited because he's just an amazing person. I've seen his IG content and it's very fascinating. I have a lot of questions. I prepared a lot of questions for him. Those are my personal questions. He's a professional filmmaker and a photographer. Guys, we will learn a lot from this guy. He is so humble, so kind. Let's all welcome. This is a tricky part, though. This is a tricky part. Okay, I will try to introduce him by his IG handle because we have this conversation of how to pronounce his name. Apparently, there's three different ways you can pronounce his name, and I want him to explain that later. All right, so let's all welcome our special guest in the Creative Talk, Be the Creator. So this is his social media, this IG handle. All right. And who this Be the Creator person is, let's all welcome. Bro, please introduce your name in three different parts.
Hi, everybody. Thanks everyone tuning into the podcast. The Be the Creator is basically the stage name that I got thanks to the TikTok and all the fans that I got here. And all my names in the social media, they call Be the Creator. My normal name in United States, I live in the United States, they call me Barry because it's easier to pronounce. In Europeans, they call me Barris because it's how it's written there. And the actual name is, I'm originally from Istanbul, Turkey, and the original name is actually Barris. It's a lot different. It's a lot harder to pronounce for everybody.
Wow.
So Be the Creator, keep it.
All right. So there you have it, guys. We have, come to think of it, we have three guests for today's show. But I'm gonna call you Barry. Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
All right. Man, again, Barry, thank you so much. He mentioned that he's living in the States. He's in New York, if I'm not mistaken. And the time difference, we're in the Southeast Asia. Thank you, Barry, for spending the time to be here in this episode.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to do that. In fact, like it's a fun fact to say it, but I think like 40% of my fans on TikTok are from Philippines and Southeast Asia and a lot of countries from that, which is obviously like 20,000 people. So it's a lot of people. I love my Southeast Asian fans.
Oh yeah, so that's good. That's good. This is destiny prepared it. All right. So Barry, I mentioned that I am very excited. Personally, I am excited in this show, in this episode, featuring you because I took up fine arts, major in advertising, and I've been in the industry um, aside from branding, because that's the core of what I took up, and that's the nature of my business. But I was exposed to photography and video, although I focus on media, so broadcast media, but photography was the stepping stone for it. And I'm a fan, man. I check your content. I don't want to be so technical because our fans, our listeners and our viewers. But let me just say, man, the colors that you use, the tonal value, it's solid, man. It's crisp. It's full of life. Let me tell you this. And actually, that is our topic that we will be discussing later. It's full of emotion, bro. It's full of emotion. And I can feel it. Guys, our listeners, our viewers, check his IG because there are pictures there that have limited captions, very small narratives because the picture, well, this is my observation, Barry. The picture itself tells the story and it's awesome. It's just awesome. And I'm not just saying that because you're the guest. I'm saying that because, I'm captivated. To be specific, there's one picture there, like you were standing in the next to a window, and I think the narratives of that picture is you're enjoying the city life, but you're longing to go outside. I mean, the countryside or something like a road trip or something. So Guys, check his content. You can see that I'm a fan.
Yeah, obviously, I'm flattered. Thank you so much. I'm happy that you enjoy the content. And it's like, yeah, as you say it, I don't have a specific color feeds like many others do. Like I usually tell, oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's embarrassing. But yeah, I usually like to tell the stories with like, a lot of narratives and the picture itself other than the colors. Like I do enjoy putting out a lot of colors. Unlike many other Instagrammers, they keep consistency with the colors, which is great for growth and like, making it look professional. I appreciate the branding. But I somehow enjoy putting out multiple colors, streaming a lot more emotions and changing the narrative. Like, it's like an ongoing story. Like as my life in here in the US, like it's like an ongoing story. It's like a lot of progress, a lot of changes. So I admit that I'm not super consistent, even I'm a branding person.
Oh yeah. Well, it works well again because I'm a fan. I love what you said that every every pictures, every content, even though they're different, they tell a story, and somehow this is why I'm so amazed because somehow they all are connected to each other. They tell a story, as you've said, and that's magnificent. But on the other side, um, I don't find this a problem. But since you mention it, that each content has its own color. So
Mhm.
well, for me, it works, man. It's very nice. But isn't that a bad thing for consistency and coherency in terms of branding? What's your thought before we start our awesome conversation?
Yeah, let me give you a quick insight. Like if you like, if you're thinking on a growth perspective on Instagram, like a brand or like personal brand, whatever it is, having a consistency with color is crucial. That's something like, not to avoid. Like, I mean, after the posting very often, the second thing comes with the color consistency and aesthetics of the page. But when you land it into like a influencer's page, like whether it's a travel, food, and they all have like pre-custom filters that they usually design in other certain different apps like Visco or whichever they find convenient. They always design those feeds pre-advanced. And I admit to do that on my photography page nowadays, but like in my personal page, I usually like to tell about the story because it's a personal page. It's telling my life, telling my story, telling my creative journey is like what I'm doing. And to be honest, just like my life changes all the time. Like for the last 5 years, I lived in 4 or 5 different countries and cities, and just like that itself, like the city, weather, the life, it's all about progress. So for my personal page, I can't keep the consistency for somehow, and I don't need to. Like I don't feel like I need to. Like I'm not super growth oriented in my personal page. I'm more of a keeping it authentic, getting more engaged people with me, other than just feel massive growth. Like I'm not about that.
I love that, man. I love that. I share that perspective also. I mean, nothing wrong with aiming to grow, massively, but
Mm-hmm.
if it hinders you making connection, being relaxed, and just showing who you are, telling a story like what you've said, then we're in the same perspective. I rather be in a small or medium account number of followers,
Mm-hmm.
but then you can do and tell your story and be who you are. I love that, and I'm just amazed in your perspective and sharing that. Thank you, bro. Now, you mentioned that you've been traveling a lot, and obviously you have a lot of things to do, taking photography in fashion industry and videos. Bro, what influenced you, or who influenced you to be this way, to be this great person that you are right now? I know our listeners and our viewers are excited, so please tell us your story, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, let me start with the second part of the story, the creative part. I mean, that's the most interesting part, I guess. When I first landed in the United States, I was in San Francisco. That's where I started. I just happened to get like a student there, just a regular master's student. But then a friend of mine that I made in there, she was from India, and then once we met, we hanged out a lot, and she was taking a lot of photos. She has these professional cameras, and I understand nothing about cameras back in then. Like 3 years ago, I understand nothing about cameras. And I just try to learn a little bit. And I was a social media person back in then. And we were really like, we were traveling. She was taking my pictures and I was posting them. Like, it was pretty good deal, right? And like, I started getting a lot more interest on that. And the more I started taking pictures with my phone, I realized like, oh my God, they suck. And like, I wanted to learn more into that, but I really didn't find the courage to invest into this stuff, like buying a camera and like getting other, investing into gears and stuff. But one day when I traveled to Mexico,
bro, sorry to cut you short. It's not, thinking of the lessons to equip yourself is one thing. Buying the equipment, man, that's a lot of savings. You need a lot of money to like buy a camera, buy lenses, and all those accessories. That's an expensive thing to learn.
And like the place that I was in that at that time is a lot different than right now. Right now, I'm like more of a resident here. I make US dollars, and back then I was a student. I was like a tourist. I have my own currency, which is a lot lower than the US dollar. Even that I bought a coffee from Starbucks, it felt bad. Like, making like almost like a 5-star dinner in my own country that money was Starbucks.
Exactly. I can relate to that.
Like $500, $600 is like, it's a crazy idea. But like, the more I started to travel with those friends, I started posting a lot more. And just like in any other opportunity, something landed on from a Central American country called Belize. And I never believed that it was real first. Then I realized like, they're offering me a free vacation. It's actually pretty dope. And once I do that, they wanted me to like, do some live streams, do some like photos, like video stuff, like promotional stuff. And I realized that was a thing. Then like 3 years ago, that's what I realized that influencer industry is big. First, I wasn't that really hopeful about it because I thought it was like a celebrity stuff. Then I realized the micro influencer, which is actually today, like it's popping, it's huge. Like back in the 3 years ago, it was just like an opportunity that just sees my eye a little bit, maybe. Then I said, I'm going to learn about this. Then I got the cheapest camera options and listed out, and I bought this Canon T7i. It was my first camera I ever got. And
wait,
I got
Canon T7i.
Yeah.
In the Southeast Asian countries, it's the other way around. What is the counterpart of T7i? I think because in Southeast Asia we have like Canon 550, like 550D, those kind. I think T7i is, if I'm not mistaken, that is the same camera that I used when I was in college.
Wow. So, that's like I would say that's one of the most affordable models, and the Rebel series was cool because it was very cheap and it got
it's the Rebel series. Oh, mine was T2i, I think. Canon T2i.
Yeah, T2i. That's the vlog camera.
It's very old. Very old, yeah.
Yeah, but it is a pretty convenient for me. Like back then, it was pretty convenient. I just wanted to learn about photography. That was all. I got the camera, and in the school, we founded a photography group. Like both of us came together and opened a student group as a photographers. Then we got like 30, 40 people, like, joining us trips. We did some photo walks. It's like, that's how I learned photography. I was the hype guy. I talk a lot, and I energize people. And, I was the hype guy, and she was a photographer. I talk a lot, and she just teach. And like after each trips, like people just go away, and then both of us stay together. Is that she's trying to teach me more because I wanted to learn it. We have this group. I wanted to teach people something someday. And that's how I learned it. Basically, like with a friend, we traveled across like states, from southern states, from the West Coast to East Coast. We traveled all the places, and along the way, we learned photography. I mean, I learned photography from her. And after that, I took it on, and the journey kept on. I went to Boston. I studied there one more year, and once it's done, you know what happened. COVID hit the town, and
wow, man, wow.
And I decided, you know what? Okay, it's about time. Like, if the stuff going serious, like I'm just gonna start this business, because it was like when I was in Boston, this thing was going huge. Like I was really improving. The social media was slightly growing then, and I realized my photos are getting a lot better. I started getting some clients, and I said, okay, I'm going to turn this into the business. And yeah, 6, 7 months ago, I moved to New York. I started the LLC, the company, so I can regulate everything, like business wise. And when I took care of them, and yeah, I basically started marketings and everything, the brandings. Yeah, it's like a 6 months journey still going on in the
Wow.
business.
Wow, such an inspiring story, man. And I love that you're not ashamed to tell the story that you don't know anything about photography back then. You have this type
3 years
of camera. Yeah.
like I
Wow.
got like I start with this, man. Like this is like $80, $80. Like
What was that? Is
if
that
you
a
find
50 millimeter?
the 50 millimeter, yeah, the Canon. If you find it the second handed, $60, $70, maybe $80 or so. Like yeah, and from that, I upgraded to I use a Sony A7 III now. Like I can't even
Ooh.
imagine back in then. Like sickest video camera I could ever get in the market, at least for early stages and intermediate. Yeah.
Nice. Bro, as a professional photographer and you're in the A game and you're in New York, man, the competition is man, there's a lot. Um, what do you think? What do you think is is the main element for a photographer? Well, this is not, included in the question. I'm just curious because you're in New York. There's a lot of competitions there. What do you think is the element that a photographer need to be successful?
Yeah. Yeah, let me touch on the first thing you said. The first thing you need to have is the realization that you're not in the A game. Like first thing I needed to realize is we're never in the A game. The journey always keeps on. The progress is everything, man. It's like if you
Right.
think that you're in the A game, you stop. You stop working on it. You stop improving, and that's where you realize, oh, you're in the bottom of the pyramid. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the bottom of the pyramid with this T7i dude. Like I used to be like 3 years ago. Like I improved a lot, but it's nothing. It's like if you compare me with me, like a lot of other photographers, it's nothing. This journey still goes on, and that's what inspires me. Like that's what inspires me. Like it's always about like striving for more. Like because in creativity is not some like a financial investment business. Like once you made $100,000, you say like, oh, life goal accomplished. That's awesome. It's not like that. Like you may improve a lot. Like you realize you achieve certain level, and then you realize, oh, there's more, and there's more, because there's always other people that are better than you. You don't like, so that's where you realize you don't compete with others, but you compete with yourself. And it's like you set a goal. You don't set a goal like in the financial money businesses. You set a goal in terms of creativity. Creativity is a subjective field. So in subjectivity is a lot different than the objective side, like money. You never be sure that if you're the best or not. So I think the first thing you need to realize is like it's an ongoing journey. You need to always be striving about more process, more progress, and more progress. It's fun. And second is
Wow.
have fun, man. Have fun. Like that's what creative businesses is special. Like other than being a lawyer and doctor, it's like they're all amazing jobs. And don't get me wrong, but like
Right.
being in a business is like you get to make the same money, but like you're in a different cycle. Like
Right.
most people in the creative field have the control of their own lives, control their own schedule. It's a more flexible life. If you're making a certain amount of money, it's not the life you're only striving for the money, but you're also striving for the freedom, for the happiness. So have fun. Have fun with it.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. Especially if you like what you're doing, you're sharing your stories in your work. So, your hobby and your business. Wow, that's something. Perfect combination. All right. Now, with that said, let's go into the main part, bro. Barry, with all those experience, learning curves, clients, projects, tasks that you've been through, what would you think is the element or what it takes to create an emotion fueled photograph? What does it need to take? What is the it's very easy to I don't know in the US, but in the Southeast Asian countries, particularly in the Philippines before, when the cameras, there was a season where cameras were so cheap because there's a lot of models, it's been mass produced, not like before. So everyone can get a camera, right?
Mhm.
Everyone can shoot. I think it's especially now, power smartphones,
Oh yeah,
I saw
that's
a I saw a smartphone yesterday with like 5 cameras at the back. Like it looks like a
I mean,
robot.
this is better than Canon Rebel T7i. So this is iPhone, yeah, 12, and
Yes.
this is better than iPhone. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
reality.
exactly. With all those equipment that it gave people the power to take photos. All right. So
Mhm.
how can you make a picture with so much emotion that it separates you as a normal consumer compared to a photographer?
Mhm.
Do you get the point, right?
Yeah.
If I'm gonna give you the scenario just for the sake of our viewers and our listeners, if I'm just a normal dude and I have this expensive, let's say the best expensive smartphone with a powerful camera, and then I take a photo, and then here comes a photographer who took a same photo of the same subject, and then I can say, oh, you're a photographer, I'm just a normal dude, but I can do what you can do, right? But I believe that something is missing, and that's a big part is emotion. So what are your thoughts, bro? What are your thoughts?
It's not. It's definitely not the quality. After all, like it's everybody has 40 megapixel. Everybody has that. Like every single quality aspect they need, they can afford it. It's not the quality. And like from a perspective that I hate the grainier images, but I saw a lot of more noisier and grainier images that have more emotions that actually
Mm,
is super sharp and like crispier, like landscapes and stuff. Like, that's like that's how you like it's really about perspective, it's really about patience, that's something, but it's all about like what you're working with. So in photography there's like I work with people, I work like that's something that is actually easier to capture the emotions, but there's also the field of people like working with landscape, working with food, like things like you have more flexibility to work with because the food's not going to move, food's not going to mess your picture up, like not going to make a mistake. It's
right.
you who's never gonna make the mistake. So that's the easier part, but it's also the harder to tell a story. When I work with people, they are easy to make mistakes. They're easy to mess up their faces. Like sometimes, like can't keep up emotions. They change, so it's like dynamic. But it's also getting multiple emotions all the time. Like they're dynamic, so they're showing me a lot of emotions. It's up to me. And as a photographer, one thing I like about my personality is like I like being friends with people first. I'm a more open box, and it's like with the respect to the clients, like regardless of how old they are, how are they style, I always become friends with them first. So I got a little chat over them on the phone, got a little chat before the photo shoots. I always call the clients like at least 5 minute further distance from the photo shoot spot, so we get to walk together. We get to meet somewhere and walk to the distance. We get to
Wow.
chat, and in the background, I start to understand their story, like because I want to understand what this photo shoot should reflect for them, like what they want to express. Like I used to be a dancer, and it's like one of my trainer always says, express to impress. Like if you want to impress people with the photo,
Love
you
that.
gotta express the emotions that you have. Like you gotta express it, and that's basically what I look at it. Like get to know your subject, and then ask them, or basically just see what they're reflecting. Are they like how happy they are, or what's the story behind this happiness? Go deep about it.
Wow. Wow. In that stage that you spend with your clients and you get to know who they are, how they came to be, in a certain extent,
Mhm.
does that contribute in how you portray them and how you take a photo of them, how you do the photography thing?
Most of the time, yeah. I mean, obviously, the concept of Photoshop depends on that as well. Like, I'm always a fan of close-ups. I love facial expressions, getting close to the face. Eyes are always the things that I love the most. Obviously, like portrait photographer gets focused on the eye, but like I love like having those facials, getting close-ups. Usually, a lot of people love their headshots, so they're not like clients don't love like getting super zoom in their faces. They don't like that a lot, but I'm a fan of that. And the angle really matters. Like the angle, like whether it's the low or the high angle, like if you're getting somebody else's double chin, like accidental, like, a lot of things like in the angle you choose that might change the photo overall. Like you may want to look at make them look skinny, or like may want to look them fit. Like, it's always like, something aesthetics perspective matters. So I try to take care of that as well as a photographer, because it's my job. But as the personal side of me as a photographer is that I wanted to see the story like as how I see it. Like, and I'm a man of positivity, I'm always about like reflecting more of a good in an image. Sometimes even like, some photos like, okay, tells a dramatic story, sad and all right. But like, I'm a really positivity person. So that's, my photos always reflects a lot of, you're going to see a lot more smiles in my photos, a lot more different angles, but like, it's always reflects something good. I always take care of like, a lot of negative aspects in the images. Whatever disrupts the image, I try to like, take care of it, retouch if needed, like, get rid of every disturbing stuff around. So get that perfect blurry backgrounds. Usually I use a lot of sunlight, a lot of natural lights, it's always adds some more emotions. I love working with sunlight. So that's something I can tell you with emotions, if you use the sunlight in the backdrop, it adds a lot of emotions, man. And I love it. And I love it.
Wow. I mean, a lot of the questions I prepared, you answered it already with that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Just a follow-up question. Okay, this is actually connected to the part where I ask you about, your basic tips about our listeners, our viewers about, engaging or starting their passion in photography. But before that, is it important to really focus on the equipment in this generation? Okay, not before when you were starting, not before when we were, still in college, but in this generation. And let's say a person wants to start a career in photography, or even a passion in photography.
Mm-hmm.
Is it very important, or is it essential to focus on equipment? And when I say that, to purchase a camera and get lenses all of a sudden, what's your take on this?
Okay, yeah. So funny, I recently made a YouTube video about this, and I talked a lot about that. But like, there was two-sided question when you ask it. So the one side, you said passion and you said career.
Yes,
like,
yes.
It differs a lot. Like if you think about two different perspectives like that, because general public opinion, everybody gonna tell you the same answer. Gear doesn't matter. Yeah, you gotta be able, like, just be yourself, just practice hard, work hard. It's like BS. Obviously, if you're passionate about it, if you want to go in a hobby direction, of course, that's the answer. Like, gear doesn't matter. Like, that's how we're gonna. But that's also like, if you go into career perspective, a client is gonna always look at you like, depends on how much you invest in yourself. That's a life goal, man. Like, if you're not in yourself, you're not. You can't expect other people to invest in your business. Like, you're paying you more if you don't invest in yourself. Like, can you imagine if I go to a real estate shoot, like, regardless of how good both cameras are, real estate shoot, and I'm coming with my cell phone, and the client will look at me like, so I can do the same thing myself, and I don't have to pay you so much.
Yes, exactly. Why am I hiring you?
I come to the same shoot with this. Then imagine the clients looking at me, oh, okay. Like, that's a lot of different matters. Like, okay, the outcome might be similar. Obviously not drone and the phone. I'm not comparing them, but the outcome might be similar in terms of quality. But it's about the perspective of the people who are you shooting with. Like, it's the client perspective. Like, if you want respect, if you want more of a, like, reputable business, so career perspective, gear matters, man. Like, you gotta invest in your business. Like, otherwise it's not a business. It's just if you're freelancing around and you're trying things. It's like, if you're in your first year, I understand it. Start with the cheapest, start with the most affordable. I mean, I started with the phone. I told you about it. I was just traveling around and I was learning it. But once you start thinking about the business mindset, career perspective, that's changed the game. Like, now you got to invest a little bit, and not each step you take. Like, if you're making a little bit more money, then you will have to invest it. It's like stock market, if you make more money, you get a little bit of that cash out and then you invest more. You don't just get the money and run away. If it's your passionate business, you got to invest in it.
Right. And I totally agree, man. Your example was the same thing that runs into my mind. Imagine when like your example, imagine you show up to a client and,
Yeah.
and the client will see, it's like, hey, why did I hire you in the first place if that's the only equipment you have? I have like better than that.
Yeah, I know, right? Like it's about like, how you try to introduce yourself, how you want to introduce yourself. If you want more respect, you have to have a little bit invest in yourself and what you do.
And I remember before, I have colleagues that share the same perspective. Like, no, you don't need to buy expensive equipment, so forth and so on. And then we were in a photo shoot in a wedding, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's two groups of photographers hired, and then but both groups were my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when we were reviewing the shots, one of my colleagues that they believe that you don't need to spend much in equipment, they were like amazed at the photo, and they said, wow, how did you do that? How did you create that shots? That depth is so nice, the depth of field. And then and this photographer said, oh, because I have this and I have this, those lenses changed the game. So there you go with your philosophy that you don't need equipment. Well, it works for them, yes, but to go beyond, you know as you go beyond, you can do a lot of things with those equipment if you know how to use it, so it comes in handy, right?
Yeah. Although, like, let me just give me a bonus. Okay, let me just drop a value on this. So we're living in the COVID age, right? So there might be some cheap tracks, like shortcuts, at least in the beginning, early phase. You can't do this like a sustainable way, but let me give it a cheap trick. Like if you're doing like something like real estate, if you're doing food, if you're doing product photography, which a lot of people used to do nowadays because of COVID, people ship products, people like just get the food and shoot it. Then I think it's okay to some extent, like a little bit of cheating, like getting your iPhone 11, iPhone 12, the most quality phone, and just getting the products from the clients. They're not looking at you, right? You can just
Right,
shoot it
right.
with the old ones and send the images over, and like you can make a living for it to some extent because a lot of people are gonna come at me. It's like, yeah, I don't have the money to buy the gears. I understand that because there's a lot of people like that. So you can start with your phone to some extent, but when it comes to like one-on-one, people to people work, like portraits, things like that, you gotta have a certain amount of equipment. Like you don't, like the client's not gonna understand the difference between Canon Rebel T7i or Sony A7 III, Sony S3. Like they're not gonna understand it. So it's fine as long as you have something like something solid in your hand. Like it's just size doesn't matter. That's the joke in that. But it's like showing a little bit of quality still matters when it
Right,
comes to
right.
that.
And um as a consumer, let's say me, I would
Mhm.
love to see, photographers showing up in my events that they're, so to speak, dressed to kill, right? So they have the right equipment. It shows their professionality. They're so classy with all those equipment. And this is just my perspective. I love to see people,
True.
if you see videographers, like you show in your drone. Imagine when you're in a shoot and someone plays with the drone, and I don't even know if they're gonna use it or not, but I'm amazed to see an equipment that I don't have flying in my event. It's just amazing, right?
Yeah. So, like, let me tell you like a minute story about that. So, I recently did a shoot like a month ago. All right, it was just a simple headshot for it's like somebody else's like branding page, and then we shot it in like a World Trade Center. It was an outdoor shoot. It was pretty good. It was okay. I went with my camera. Everything was fine. And yeah, he paid me and he said, you know what, I actually need some studio shots. Do you have a studio? I said, yeah, let's go. Let's head there. And yeah, we went to the studio. And then he saw my YouTube studio backdrops, like all the drones and lenses are on the storage shelf and stuff. Wow, that's a lot of solid stuff you got in there. And says like, I'm in the real estate business. Why don't we just do like, a real estate, like, a partnership, like you come with your drones and all this stuff. that happens. Like that's like, like once they see like the top shelf, what items you got, they started to be like, oh, like, you know what? Like this is not the cheap photographer dude. I saw it in the outside when we were shooting. Now his perspective has changed.
Wow. That's
Sometimes
it.
it matters. You
Yeah.
don't have to buy everything on the store, but like some key items always matter to having like, have in your pocket. Like, but obviously it's totally up to someone's budget. It's like not
Right.
everybody has it.
Right.
But if you're in the business, you're going to have some budget on the way.
Ooh, I love that. That's knowledge bomb, bro. Thank you for sharing that wonderful story. Thank you. All right. Now, bro, any tips that you want to share? Basic, okay? Basic tips for our listeners and for our viewers that want to jump in photography. Floor is yours.
Yeah. So are you asking me like give some actual photography learning tips, or are you asking for business tips? Like
It's up to you, bro. Any tips you want to share, maybe in business, or you want to share some, factual information in photography. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Whatever value you want to share.
Got it. Let me start with the photography one. Okay, so the first thing I would say to learn photography, if you don't have somebody to teach you, if you don't have a friend to like just go along and shoot like I did, I was lucky. So what I would recommend is like a lot of information is accessible. You don't need to read the whole book, but start with the composition tips. Like a lot of people always want to start with basics, like essentials, which you need to learn on the way. ISO, shutter speed, aperture, these are the basics everybody learned. But also start with the compositions. They show you how to form, how to build a story. Like leading lines, the rule of thirds. Like those are the very simple. Like I have a YouTube video about that. Like I show like 5 most easiest rules to learn. Like those kind of rules, like symmetry. We all know that. Like rule of thirds. We all can understand it. Like we have the grids on the camera or the phone. Those are so easy stuff, but they teach you a lot. How to place your subject, how much of your subject to have in, how to crop a photo, everything like is possible by just learning those composition rules. Is like just go and Google them, man. Like just go Google those rules, or just watch my YouTube video. That will be also fine.
Oh yeah, so watch his YouTube video for you to learn everything that he's telling about.
But yeah, just basically learn those rules. It's gonna help you a lot to start get on with it, because photography is about composition. It's about telling the story. Everybody's gonna say something similar like this, and to just tell a story, you gotta learn how to compose the photo, and that's about it. You learn the most easiest rules to learn, and then there are like more than 20 of them. You can just take a look at everything. And then the second thing you gotta take care of them once you start learning on the way is gonna be the lighting. To step up the photos, lighting matters more than everything. It literally writes the story. Like first of all, once you start learning, you're gonna have to just learn the rules and go out there, start compositions. But once the compositions you're a little bit comfortable, the second element, lighting. Learn some lighting. Learn some elements like how we can use the natural lights. What are the bad lighting situations, ugly shadows? Learn about little things like that. You can all watch videos on YouTube. You can just Google these things. These are all available stuff. These are all easy things to learn, other than just try to understand all the numbers and crunching numbers in your head. It's like, oh my God, what's the ideal shutter speed? What's the ISO? It's like, forget that. You're gonna learn once you get a camera. You're gonna play with all the settings. It's like, okay, once I increase this, it comes it's a little bit better. These are coming along the way. These are more number stuff that you need to learn later on. But first start with the easy rules and lighting. These are everything. And just the last thing to add as a business advice, if you want to go into the business side of the things, go heavy with the branding. Go heavy with your branding. That's that was also something good I did, and also a bad mistake that I need to criticize myself. But I started as a branding photographer, and I'm proud of that. I'm still doing that. But I think because of that, in the early stage, I forgot. I realized I focused a lot on client building. I need to get more clients. I need to get more clients. And I forgot about my own personal branding of the business. When I used to be a personal brand, I used to do heavy branding. But I realized that when I switched into the business, I didn't do enough my business branding. So it was just about, I got a lot of clients, but I realized along the way, I forgot my business branding. So it seems like at the end, you seem like, oh, this is a branding company that doesn't brand itself. That sounds super weird, right? So go heavy with branding, because at the end, like your name, your logo, whatever you have on the assets, those are what's gonna left on people's mind. You know, that's gonna be the catchy slogan. Like, how you introduced me today? Be the creator. I'm be the creator. Like nobody remembers Barris because Barris is just a random guy. But like, if you look at the Be the Creator now, I got like tens of thousands of followers on TikTok, a couple thousand on Instagram. Like, you know, people knows the name Be the Creator. Like people calls me Be the Creator because that's the stage name, you know. Have a branding. That's how you introduce yourself into the business world in that sense.
That is solid. Wow. those tips are, you know, it's such value. There's so much value in those tips that if you really focus on it, those are enough to get you started. So thank you so much, Barry, for sharing those wonderful, wonderful tips, sharing your wonderful story. Now, we are in the part of the show, bro, that we will play a game. Okay? This is not normal in any podcast. You will only experience it here.
All right.
We will play a game that has nothing to do with your background, with your experience, or even the topic that we talk about in this episode. Nothing. All right? The game
Cool.
is I will ask you questions, random questions. They're so random that, you know, it's just given to me by my team before we start our conversation. And you're not allowed to spend too much time thinking what the answer would be. The first thing that comes into your mind, shoot. All right?
All right.
Okay. So first question. Dun, 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 dun. Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
Structured or chaotic?
Chaotic.
Love or money?
Love.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Two animals. Can I say two?
Sure.
Cheetah, because I'm fast. Bison. I don't know the reason. It's just I love bison.
Wow. I was like, when you say cheetah, because I'm fast, I was like, ooh, powerful combination. Bison. And I was like, what the heck will he say with a bison? Is it because it's strong? And then he said nothing. I was like, what?
Obviously, I'm not fast.
All right. Next. The beaches or the mountains?
Mountains.
Okay. What is the weirdest food you've tried?
Ramen.
Oh, come, weirdest food?
You never eat a soup with a raw egg swimming in it. Sorry, man.
What was that? Can you tell the experience? What happened?
Okay, so I was in the ramen restaurant, obviously, with my girlfriend, and she made me to try. Like I never thought about like such a thing, but like I didn't even know that exists. And the ramen that came to the table as like,
bro, because you said that, you will not have any projects with Japanese.
Well, that is true, but like that soup came to my table was like that has like two raw eggs swimming in it, and this is like, you know, I can't eat it, man.
But did you?
Like,
but did you? Did you eat it?
No, I did. Like I just tasted it, but I couldn't finish it because the eggs were just like eggs. I don't like raw eggs.
What was your girlfriend's reaction that you didn't try it?
Oh, she already knew that I was gonna hate it. Like she was 100% sure. She just forced me to try it.
All right. Okay. I'll take that answer. All right. Next. What is your favorite weather?
Summer, fall, summer. Okay, let's see.
Okay. What is something that is always in your bag when you were a kid?
Wait, what? Can you repeat that?
What is something that is always in your bag when you were a kid?
my Pokemon game. I'm a Pokemon fan for 19 years, man.
Wow. Well, I am a Pokemon fan also. Who's your favorite Pokemon then? Pokemon
Um,
character.
yeah, Squirtle and obviously Ash.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm in the earlier stage of Pokemon. You know, I love what's his name? Braun? Braun? And his Pokemon is Onyx.
Oh
Bran?
yeah, Brock Onyx. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So that's like old school generation 1 Pokemon.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Mine
What
is the first.
although I love Mewtwo, I love the character of Mewtwo. So
Yeah.
all right. Have you watched the Pokemon movie with who's Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah. I watched like I think I watched every movie twice. There was like 11 movies. I watched every one of them like twice. I watched all show like all 11 seasons. Yeah.
Hey,
Finished
so
the whole thing.
speaking of Pokemon, I can't remember, but I ran into an article that there would be in 2021 onwards another animated movie about
Yes.
Pokemon. It's more realistic, more dark
Yeah.
version. Is that true?
It's Pokemon. Yeah, it's Pokemon's 25th year anniversary. That's why they're launching it. In
Ah,
fact, let me just show you. If you have like 10 seconds, let me just show you something that you're gonna freak out over it.
sure, sure. Why not?
This is how crazy I am with the game. You know.
Wow. Ooh, wow.
Got
Wow.
it?
Man, that's investment. You know, that's investment.
I'm a collector. I'm a fan. Yeah, people are investing in these nowadays. I got that, but I'm mostly a collector. I love it.
Nice. Very good. Last question, bro. Last question. If you have the power, like I always ask this is the branding question of the show. If you
All right.
have the power to bring back someone back from the dead, who would it be and why?
Has to be anyone like
Anyone.
global perspective or my
Anyone,
personal life.
anyone. It can be a historical figure, a family member, or you know, a character in history that is ancient, or anyone, man, anyone. If you have the power to bring back someone back from the dead, who would it be and why?
I will bring my father.
Oof, man. If you may, can I know I'm not supposed to ask why, but please share me some insights. Why you choose to bring back your father?
Uh, I mean, it's obviously like the person I am today. More active into the sports, trying out everything new. It's something I learned from him. Yeah, that's why.
Oof.
Like he was pushing me into the competition all the time, the competing with him. Like that's always something inspires me, and it's my father, man. There's no other
Of
reason.
course, of course, of course. I mean, and I'm sure he's very proud of you, your accomplishments. You know, such a great person, such a humble heart. He's very happy knowing that you're successful, and he's excited to see you going forward in your career. So I believe that.
Let's hope.
All right, so bro, um, please promote whatever releases you have, your social media accounts, projects, events if you have, or task projects, collaborations that you want to share. The floor is yours. Please promote.
All right. Yeah. By the way, thanks so much for having me. That was a fun podcast. I loved it. And yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. I really go in heavy on it. And I teach photography and business tips in that. Like pretty much like the value I dropped it in the first 20 minutes. Like much more is available on YouTube. And I keep putting tomorrow's new videos coming every day. I'm putting new videos like every week, sorry. Like photography business tips. And I also have a TikTok channel. I mean, it's like they both you can find as Be the Creator. Or yeah, just put it Be the Creator and you'll find me there. You can go to my TikTok. I do a lot of fun videos about photography. I also have like I almost have like there like a 60K followers on TikTok. It's really having fun
Wow.
in there. it's mostly about photography. I do some fun stuff as otherwise, like, just having fun, like TikTok style. That's about it. And Instagram also be the creator to see all my photos and everything I'm sharing, the story and everything happening here. If you want to find some value, though, go to my YouTube channel. Go follow me on there. I'm gonna be connecting with each and every one of you. You can ask me anything. I do live streams on Instagram, on TikTok each week, once or twice. Yeah, always happy to connect with everybody tuning into my channels and engage. I love meeting with everybody. It's always fun.
Yeah, guys, please do check Barry, be the creator. Man, he is such an amazing person, very humble. And I believe that he will guide you along the way in terms of photography tips, facts, and the do's and don'ts. So please send him a message, connect with him, and be amazed. Thank you again, Barry. I am so amazed. I learn a lot, and it's just an amazing opportunity to listen uh, and know your story, learn from your experience, your wisdom, and having a very kind heart. Even though I told you that you're in the A game, but you said that you're not, and that just shows how humble you are. But in let's say in my perspective, man, you are going there. Keep pushing forward. Be an inspiration. Continue to be a beacon of light, bro, because you are. So thank you again for being here in my show in the Creative Talk podcast. I am so amazed. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, man. Glad to meet you.
All right, so
Thank you.
that's our episode for today with a very awesome guest, be the creator himself. Feel free to check us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the Creative Talk Podcast. We are everywhere. And again, guys, be safe, have a positive outlook in life, smile, and God bless.